Hello there, Brick Fanatics. Is the upcoming BrickLink Designer Program set Siege Encampment the best LEGO castle set ever? Well, is it? I'm asking you a question, I don't know. Because on the one hand, there is so much cool castle stuff in here. Fan designer Sleepless Night has really taken the kitchen sink approach and just chucked in as much stuff as you could possibly want. But on the other hand, the set doesn't come with a castle, which does feel like kind of a big deal for a castle set. Now, I do need to rewind a little bit and talk about the BrickLink Designer Program and what this set actually is and how it has come to be, because this is not a normal LEGO set. If you've been following this channel for a while, you will know that I am a big proponent of the BrickLink Designer Program, because this is where we're getting some of the coolest, weirdest, wildest, most innovative LEGO sets of the past few years. These sets are designed by fans, selected by fans with some help from the BrickLink Designer Program overseers, and then crowdfunded, designed not for mass widespread release, but rather for a select maximum of 30,000 consumers, or indeed 30,000 units that will ever be produced. These sets are made with existing parts that are inside the LEGO catalogue, parts that are being used for other LEGO sets, and fans are given a palette of pieces to work with and told to just go nuts and build whatever they want and then submit their designs. These designs are then voted on by BrickLink users, and those votes are used to inform the selection of 5 LEGO sets that are actually produced from any BrickLink Designer Program series. If that all sounds very interesting to you and you'd like to try submitting your own design, bear in mind that Series 7 of the BrickLink Designer Program will open for submissions on the 20th of January, so there's a little bit of time there to get your designs ready in advance. Anyway, Series 4 of the BrickLink Designer Program is getting ready for crowdfunding, which will start on the 4th of February, and people will be allowed to purchase these sets and then wait a very long time before the sets are actually finished and shipped out. It's an unfortunate situation, but it does mean that we get some of these cool limited run sets, which are, I have to say, some of the coolest things that you can get in LEGO. Now, in anticipation of the crowdfunding opening up for these sets, we now have the details on the prices for the sets and the finalized designs, because these things over the process of getting ready for crowdfunding tend to shift a little bit and perhaps grow or shrink or develop in different ways as the designers who designed these sets are given the freedom to experiment and just kind of beef them up a bit. To that end, let's run through these very quickly because I think they are all worthy of some attention. Merchant Boat by Nicholas Carlier costs £149.99 in the UK, $169.99 in the US, and €169.99 in the EU, and contains 2,180 elements. Wild West Train by Lucky costs £249.99 in the UK, $279.99 in the US, and €279.99 in the EU, and contains 3,192 pieces. Medieval Seaside Market by Bricks Van Oy costs £199.99 in the UK, $229.99 in the US, and €229.99 in the EU, and contains 2,560 pieces. Siege Encampment by Sleepless Night costs £199.99 in the UK, $229.99 in the US, and €229.99 in the EU, and contains 2,598 pieces. Riverside Scholars by Hanwas costs £169.99 in the UK, $199.99 in the US, and €199.99 in the EU, and contains 2,769 pieces. All 5 of these LEGO sets will be available for pre-order from the 4th of February, and while some of the production schedules tend to shift a little bit, the current estimate is that production and shipping will start in July of this year. So you've got a little bit of a wait. I know that in some regions there tend to be additional delays for shipping depending on current local circumstances, but that's kind of the time frame that we're looking at for these LEGO sets. As said, I do think that all of these are absolutely gorgeous pieces. Now, it's interesting, every series of these BrickLink Designer Program sets tend to be just a little bit different and follow slightly different rules. Normally there's like a really big one and then a really little one and then a few sets in between. This time around they're all fairly in the middle of the range in terms of size and price. So we don't have anything that's really dinky and tiny, and we don't have anything that's absolutely massive, and they're all at around about the same price of somewhere between £150 and £250. It has to be said, given that these sets are being crowdfunded, and given the complexity and a lot of the parts that are in these sets and how just kitchen sinky they are in their design, where there's so much cool stuff in the box, it is really impressive that the LEGO Group has set the prices for these as low as they are, because they could very well try and take advantage of the fact that these sets are going out to the Uber fans and kind of just push up the price a little bit for some of these limited run sets. But they haven't done that because these prices are more or less the same as what you would be paying for an equivalent sized LEGO set that has a more widespread mainstream appeal, something that goes out to a wider audience and therefore has economies of scale on its side. Nevertheless, looking at the updated photos for these sets, it does look like no matter which of these you may or may not pick up, you are going to be having a good time, because these are all absolutely gorgeous in their own right. Probably the most polarizing of these designs is Siege Encampment by fan designer Sleepless Night, who previously designed the Mountain Fortress LEGO set that proved phenomenally popular in Series 1 of the BrickLink Designer Program, and has also designed Adventure in Transylvania, which is, I think, if not the most voted for popular design of a LEGO set thus far for the BrickLink Designer Program. It's up there as one of the top ones where everybody looked at it and was just like, that's fantastic, that's phenomenal. Big old heart emoji response. But in the meantime, we have Siege Encampment, and it's on the one hand exactly what you would think of as a kind of a modern continuation of some retro classic castle sets, and on the other hand it does feel like it's lacking the same unified, connective, like physical space that something like Adventure in Transylvania or Mountain Fortress has. Because this set is not a single physical space, it is a collection of smaller builds. You've got a few tents, you've got some fish being cooked, you've got some different people doing different things, you've got some horses and some carts, you've got some battle-y stuff like a trebuchet or a catapult, I don't know which one this is, and you've got this thing that's used for getting up on the walls of castles. I don't know my terminology here. You've got a bunch of Siege Encampment stuff, and this is very much a bunch of stuff LEGO set, as opposed to something that clicks together into one big unified piece and then sits very comfortably on the shelf. And all of this stuff is absolutely beautiful. There is such a brilliant level of detail here, and there's so many different types of minifigures and decorative pieces and utensils and all kinds of stuff in here that this really does feel like a wonderful fleshing out and world building LEGO set, which would make any castle display feel a lot more alive. It's all of the extra stuff, the stuff that you don't necessarily get in just a castle build. The things that make this feel like a little community, make the minifigures feel like they have a purpose that is just so wonderful and is just such a lovely level of detail. But because it is such a bunch of scattered things, this feels like it is going to be supplementary to an actual castle set. And indeed, if you look at the pictures for this, the official pictures for this LEGO set, you see that they are displaying this alongside things like Lion Knight's Castle, or indeed alongside Mountain Fortress. This is a LEGO set which is meant to connect to something that you already, in theory, have. Because if you haven't already bought Mountain Fortress, you're going to pay a lot for it on the aftermarket, and if you don't already have Lion Knight's Castle, bear in mind that thing's retiring at the end of this year, so there is not very much time left to get hold of that thing. I do feel like if you look at this LEGO set compared to some of the older castle sets where you didn't necessarily get a castle, some of the ones that are just a horse and cart or just like a little bit of terrain or what have you, then this definitely feels like an evolution of that. This feels like it is that kind of LEGO set being given the Lion Knight's Castle treatment, fleshed out and expanded upon and made into something really big and bold and wonderful. The challenge comes in that this thing costs £200 and it doesn't have the castle that you really need to have to really complete the scene. Now, if this were a LEGO set that had been designed by the LEGO Group and put into production for the widespread masses, I absolutely would have been more inclined to call foul and say, how have you done a LEGO set this big and this expensive that then needs something else in order to feel complete? Like, this is a supplementary LEGO set that is very expensive. But because this has been designed by a fan, I think first off, the point of this LEGO set is to simply fulfill the wish wishes of that particular fan, Sleepless Night. And because this has then been chosen by the fans as part of that fan vote in order to choose the sets that get to the crowdfunding stage, I feel like this is absolutely giving the fans what they want in terms of all of that neat stuff. So I'm not going to pretend that this isn't exactly what LEGO fans want, because this thing is made by fans for fans. The problem here, and I hate to keep coming back to this point, but it continues to be relevant, is that I do feel like the BrickLink Designer Program is doing what an actual castle theme could do if we were to have an actual castle theme. Lion Knight's castle has proven so phenomenally popular. As noted with the most recent collectible minifigures, the Wolfpack Beastmaster just disappeared from stores. These are the sets that people want. People want castle stuff, and really the only way to get it is with these limited run sets, or with the occasional big medieval village or Lion Knight's castle, the one-a-year fantastic fabulous set that doesn't entirely scratch that itch. And so we get things like Siege Encampment, where the fans are just saying, no, please LEGO, we want more stuff like this, we want more, we want everything to get expanded out in the same kind of way as Lion Knight's castle. Case in point, this is not even the only castle set in this particular series of the BrickLink Designer Program. We've also got Medieval Seaside Market, which again looks very much like it is designed to be a continuation of something like Lion Knight's castle. There's a lot of the same kind of building aesthetic to this. Now apparently with the BrickLink Designer Program, it's not a case of the higher-ups looking at what the fans have voted the most for and just saying, right, we'll take the top 5 of these LEGO sets and everything that has had the most votes will definitely be made into a LEGO set, because they try and balance things out. So as said, they try and balance things in terms of size so that everything kind of averages out at around the 2,500 piece mark, so that if they have like a 4,000 piece set, they then offset that with a 400 or 500 piece set so that it all kind of balances out. But they also limit things to one entry in a particular classic theme or one style of LEGO set per series. So normally you only get one classic castle set. And consistently it is just castle that tends to turn up every single time, because we do often get one pirate set per series, but we don't always get one pirate set per series. We generally always get a nice castle set, with the exception, I think, of Series 5, where we don't get a classic castle, but instead we get Sleepless Nights Adventure in Transylvania, which is, as noted in the comments of the previous video that we did on the BrickLink Designer Program, that's a castle too. It's just a slightly different kind of castle. So the hardcore LEGO fans want Siege Encampment. This exists for a purpose. It is because the LEGO Group is not giving us any of the smaller, more world-building-y castle sets that we have had in years previous. We're not getting little horses and carts. We're not getting little bits of battlement. We're not getting people swanning around and doing medieval stuff, roasting food and I don't know, weaving baskets and preparing their armor and that kind of stuff. And this LEGO set delivers what you would have over half of an actual LEGO theme, if not an entire LEGO theme from back in the day, all in one package. And so for the people who want that, this is going to be absolutely brilliant. For everyone else, maybe there's a benefit to this thing being limited run and really only going out to the people that desperately want it, because I can see this one as being a bit risky in the LEGO Group's eyes in terms of like how many people outside of the hardcore castle fans are actually going to want it. We will discover exactly how popular it is when this thing gets crowdfunded, because typically these castles are the ones from the BrickLink Designer Program series that just go so quickly, that hit that 30,000 unit mark as quickly as possible, and then no more are produced. Like the LEGO Group is not selling an infinite number of these things. They are selling a hard 30,000, and after that they're not going to make any more. I imagine Medieval Seaside Market is also going to sell out very quickly, and I'll be interested to see which of them hit that 30,000 mark the quickest. But either way, I get the sense that some fans are still probably going to struggle to get hold of this thing, and it's going to go quickly because the people who want those castle sets are just not being served by anything else in the LEGO catalogue. Now, it would have been nice if this LEGO set had just a little bit more freedom to do something new and bold and innovative. It would have been nice to have got, for example, a new LEGO Castle faction, because that's the thing that the BrickLink Designer Program just can't give, is additional new factions. We haven't really got like a brand new faction in quite a while. The LEGO Group likes to recycle the old factions for nostalgic value, and that is definitely very much appreciated. But if you look at something like, say, the Collectible Minifigures Series 20 had a tease in there. It had this tournament night with a black and yellow design and a kind of, is that a raven or some kind of bird on the shield there? It didn't match up to any existing faction. It was almost like a brand new faction. And we've just got that one minifigure which exists in isolation. There's not a wider theme connected to it. Siege Encampment would have been a brilliant opportunity to flesh out that particular minifigure and give us a wider selection of whatever that faction is, or to do something entirely completely new. But unfortunately, that's not how the BrickLink Designer Program works, because the fan designers who are building these sets are working with the elements that are already in the LEGO catalogue, that are already being used for other LEGO sets. And so they can't just invent a brand new faction, because they can't just invent brand new minifigure torsos. That is, I think, one of the big drawbacks of the BrickLink Designer Program as it exists at the moment. Like, you understand why, and a lot of that talk about pricing does factor in there. Like, there's a reason why these things are able to be affordable, and that's because they are not using any new elements or any new printing whatsoever. So it's not costing the LEGO Group the additional R&D, the additional design costs that would be associated with, say, when the LEGO Ideas program makes a Winnie the Pooh head or what have you. The exception to that is stickers, because the LEGO fan designers are given the opportunity to create their own stickers, which are then finessed somewhat and actually given polish by actual genuine LEGO graphic designers, so that these things look and stand up alongside all other LEGO sets. So there is the flexibility there to create a new faction in sticker form, but you just can't then put any torsos in there that are anything new. And you can't put a sticker on a torso, because thankfully the LEGO Group long since decided that that was just not a good idea, and so that is not something that the BrickLink Designer Program allows for. As it is, Siege Encampment comes with 11 stickers, and a large number of them are Black Falcon crests, because that's the faction which is predominantly here in this form, in this particular Siege Encampment. And that's nice to have. It's fun. It's a continuation of what Sleepless Night did with Mountain Fortress. What you see with these BrickLink Designer Program sets, a lot of the time, these castle ones, is a fan designer will choose a particular faction that is available in the parts selection from the BrickLink Designer Program. So there's like a torso for a Black Falcon, and they say, right, okay, I'll do a Black Falcon faction set. And you're not allowed to use the name Black Falcon if you do that in the actual name of the set. So you don't call it Black Falcon Siege Encampment, you just call it Siege Encampment, and then that's absolutely fine. But if you were to then say, I don't know, try and call it Wolfpack Hideout or whatever, that would be against the rules as they currently stand. But then also one of the rules currently is that you can't, when you're making your fan design, put photos or pictures of additional other LEGO sets alongside that for illustrative purposes, such as we see with the official photos for Siege Encampment, and indeed the official photos for Riverside Scholars. And so clearly there are some rules here which apply at the stage where fans are submitting designs that don't apply when the finished design actually goes up for crowdfunding, which is interesting, but nothing more than just an interesting thing to note. Anyway, all of that said, this set is probably going to be brilliant for existing fans of the castle theme who already have some castles and want to add a little bit more life to their display. And it's maybe not necessarily going to be the one for people who are just getting in and kind of dipping their toes into the water of castle. If you are going to be picking up one of those BrickLink Designer Program sets, you've got the medieval seaside market right there, which is basically that. But either way, it's going to be very interesting to see how the LEGO fan community responds to the Siege Encampment set. So please do let us know your thoughts on the set down in the comments, because we're genuinely interested to know what you think of it and whether or not it's one that you're going to be picking up. Make sure, by the way, that you also do the rest of the YouTube things and give this video a thumbs up and hit subscribe and the notification bell. If you're going to be purchasing any LEGO sets in the near future, for example, Lion Knight's Castle, you can use the affiliate link, which is down in the description, or the QR code that is currently on screen. Otherwise, go to brickfanatics.com for more coverage of all things BrickLink Designer Program, and sign up to our newsletter so that you never miss anything LEGO related ever again. Thank you very much for watching, and have a lovely day.